topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask Good Questions podcast, broadcasting live every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on W4CY Radio at W4CY.com. This week and every week, we will reach for a higher purpose in money and life, as well as a focus on health and wellness. Now, let's join your host, Bonita Bell-Andersen, as together we start with Asking Good Questions.
Hello and welcome to the Ask Good Questions podcast. I am your host, Bonita Bell-Andersen, and today we are talking about savvy Social Security planning for women. So I have some slides that I will put up on the screen now. So thank you so much. I'm so glad you're here. This is so important. Today, we are going to be talking about something that is really super important for women. I have been dealing with women clients and helping women clients for about the last 25 years. And women represent about 56% of all Social Security beneficiaries age 62 and older, and about 66% of all beneficiaries age 85 and older. Whether you're married or single, divorced or widowed, there are certain strategies you can use. And the reason I'm here is because I want you to get this right. Because I want you to have the maximum benefits for your lifetime. So we're going to talk about some of these strategies today. So how confident are you in your ability to retire comfortably? I've got women clients across the spectrum, from very low income to very high income. The question was recently posed, this question, to 5,900 men and women who are still working. So not surprisingly, women are less confident in their ability to retire comfortably. 36% said they were either not too confident or not at all confident, compared to 28% of men. So another survey asked about some of the financial aspects of retirement. Will you have enough money to live comfortably throughout your retirement years? Only 11% of unmarried women said yes. Okay, so forget about living comfortably. Will you have enough to meet basic expenses during retirement? Just 23% of unmarried women said yes. Are you doing a good job of preparing financially for retirement? Only 15% of unmarried women said yes. So you'll see that my email address is scrolling if you have questions. I've also written a book for divorced or women who have lost their spouse about all of these issues around finances. When you email me, I will give you the link for going out to Amazon to get the book. But remember that many of this thing that we're looking at on the screen right now, many of these unmarried women were once married. Whether through divorce or widowhood, many married women wind up single at the end of their life. It's just the case, right? So here's a quote. Women in general have greater concerns about their retirement security, yet do less than needed to plan for adequately addressing those concerns. This quote came from a study by MetLife on women, retirement, and the extra long life. Unfortunately, it's true in too many cases, but at least you're here. Whether this is a first step for you or you're one of the savvy ones who have been planning for retirement all along, Gathering information about Social Security and other sources of income in retirement is what you need to do to take care of yourself financially. All right? So here's women's realities. It offers income you can't outlive. Ida Mae Fuller, who was the first recipient of a monthly Social Security check, lived to be 100. And this is back in the 1940s. She received Social Security right up until the month she died. If your monthly Social Security benefit is $2,000 and you live 10 more years, you'll receive a total of almost $300,000 in lifetime benefits. If you live 30 more years, you'll receive nearly $1 million. Hard to believe, isn't it? Because Social Security provides inflation adjusted income for life. The best way to get the most out of the Social Security system is to live a really, really long time, right? So this is something that, how am I going to do that? Well, maybe you should work a little bit longer. I know, you maybe not want to, but paying down debt, adding to retirement savings, reducing how long you have to draw down, for drawing down retirement assets, and raising Social Security benefits are all super, super important things that you should consider. So here's the value of Social Security is really, really, really important. So you need to understand how you can get the most out of this whole thing. So it offers income you can't outlive, right? Women love Social Security. Here's one reason why. It offers income you can't outlive. And so you're going to be getting almost, you could get almost $1 million in benefits if you live to be like 95. That annual, like if you do, like this year it was 2.5%, but if you do an annual cost of living adjustment of 2%, then your monthly income in 10 years would be about $24.38. In 30 years, it's going to be about $36. That's nothing to sneeze at. So now for some fun stuff. Social Security rules and strategies. These can be somewhat complex, I know, depending on your marital status, but it's definitely worth understanding the different rules and strategies because it's what can help you get more out of the system. All right. Okay, let's start with a series of questions. The first question is, do you qualify for Social Security benefits on your own work record, right? You do if you paid into Social Security for at least 10 years. And it doesn't matter if those 10 years occurred all in one stretch early in your life or later in life. Like for me, I've got 3 daughters. The years when I was having babies and a stay-at-home mom, they're big fat zeros on my work record. Also, my first husband, we were overseas in the military in Germany for 4 years in the 1980s. I was taking care of little ones. Actually, my youngest daughter was born in an army hospital overseas during that time. I don't recommend having babies in army hospitals overseas, but you just need 10 years of fairly minimal earnings to be able to qualify. So the next question is, are you currently married? And has your husband started receiving his Social Security benefit? It will become clear later why we are asking these questions. You and or your husband may be able to receive spousal benefits, and we're going to explain that strategy. So then, regardless of whether or not you're currently married, have you been married before? Are there any former husbands, dead or alive, lurking out there? Believe it or not, you may be able to receive Social Security benefits based on a former husband's work record. If your previous marriage ended in divorce, if it lasted at least 10 years, and if you are currently unmarried, you may qualify for divorced spouse benefits. If you're divorced and your ex-husband is deceased, you may qualify for divorced spouse survivor benefits. We'll talk more about that later. And all of these things also, that PDF analysis that I told you that you can get by emailing me, I really want you to get this right. So those things, if that is a thing with you, then it's going to come up in that report. So don't try to memorize these rules right now. I'm going to explain them in more detail so that, so it just doesn't, fly over your head. So let's pause. So let's pause for a minute here. You could be entitled to one or more of the following: retirement benefits, spousal benefits, divorce spouse benefits, survivor benefits. Knowing how to coordinate these things is going to be a critical question for the remainder of your retirement years. All right. So let's define some terms. What is this FRA? That means full retirement age. Most likely, everyone probably that is listening to this podcast is going to be 1960 and later, is probably going to be 67. So that's how I'm going to address it. If you were born, then your full retirement is age 67. Your estimated benefits on the Social Security website shows you what is your full retirement age. So the next important concept is to understand is your primary insurance amount. That's what PIA means. We're not going to go into any benefit formulas today, but basically your benefit is based on your work history, and the system uses your highest 35 years to calculate. The higher those earnings are, the better this amount is going to be. So that's one reason why I encourage women to work a little longer. If you've taken time out of the workforce to raise children like I did, or go back to school, there may be some zeros on your earnings record like mine. So all you have to do is look at your annual Social Security statement, right? And it's going to show you what your benefit amount is at your full retirement age. And so the benefit amount, that benefit amount is what they call the primary insurance amount. All right. So we're going to talk about retirement benefits. So if you worked for at least 10 years in a job that paid into Social Security, then you're entitled to a retirement benefit. All right. So estimating it, you go to Social Security. You're going to go start an account if you haven't already. You're going to answer some questions for security, and they stopped generating statements and sending them to people a while ago, but you just go online now and you can print it off. And you can access also a retirement estimator through your My Social Security account. And another way to use one of those calculators is on the Social Security website. They have some calculators that you can do too. So hopefully that is another way that can help you. So this is a big concept. Your retirement benefit depends on when you claim it. So we talked about your primary insurance amount, or PIA, which is the amount of your benefit. If you apply for Social Security at full retirement age, let's say 67, but what if you apply at a different age? Huh? What do you think? So I'm going to talk to you till I'm blue in the face to not do it before your full retirement age. So what I want you to do is look at the difference. So if you wait, if it's 2,000 and you take it after your full retirement age and you take it at age 62, it's going to be 1,400 and it's going to permanently stay there. It is not going to get better. And what if you apply after your full retirement age? Then there's something called delayed credits. Delayed credits means that for those 3 years between age 67 and 70, you'll get an 8% delayed credit. So a benefit at age 67 of 2,000 would be 2,480 at age 70. I'm going to talk to you about cost of living increases too. That makes a big difference too. So I feel it makes a big difference because you know why? What is your income going to be when you're 75? And what is your income going to be at 85? And what if you live to be 95? That's what I'm wondering about. So here's another reason. Bigger checks to start means bigger checks later. If you do your income at age 70 with a 2% annual income, and if you were here, was the 20, like age 67, 2343 would be 2906 with a 2% income. That delayed benefit just compounds over the years, better and better and better. And so if you waited until age 70 to take 29, by the time you're 75, it's 32. 80, it's 35. 85, it's 39. 90, it's 43. Do you see what I'm saying? I want you to delay benefits because it triggers bigger checks later on for you. It means more income for you later on. So here you go. When to apply. If you apply early, your benefit starts lower and stays lower for life. Here's another scenario. If you just applied and you go, oh no, I've made a mistake. If it's within a year and they've started paying you benefits, you can stop it within that first year and you're going to have to repay back what they gave you, but you can do it and then say, I really made a mistake. I listened to Bonita, Bell-Andersen, and I really should have waited. You have to pay back what they gave you, but then you can stop it and then start it when you should. So COLAs magnify the impact of early or delayed claiming as well. The longer you live, the more beneficial it is to delay benefits, and the decision impacts survivors. If you have a husband, tell him to delay his benefit if he has a higher benefit. That's going to increase your survivor benefit if he dies first, right? So, reasons not to file. Being stuck with the reduced benefit is not the only reason to not file for Social Security before full retirement age. Another reason is that if you are still working, some or all of your benefit may be withheld due to the earnings test. $1 in benefits for every $2 you earn over $23,400 will be deducted. You will not be able to take advantage of these savvy spousal strategies. So after you turn full retirement age, there's no earnings test. So you can receive your full Social Security benefit and earn as much as you want from working without any benefits being withheld. You are going to have to be thinking about taxes, but it is possible. Another reason not to file for Social Security before full retirement age is that you might not be able to take advantage of some of these spousal strategies that we're going to talk about next. All right. So let's talk about some spousal benefits. When Social Security was first instituted in 1935, can you believe it? Most women didn't work. So the system allows for spousal benefits to be paid where women can draw Social Security off of her husband's work account. Now, of course, most women qualify for a retirement benefit on their own work record, but you still may be able to take advantage of spousal benefits. And because Social Security is gender neutral, your husband may be able to take advantage of spousal benefits too. Yeah, doesn't matter. So let's start with a simple example. So if you filed before full retirement age, then you're going to be penalized no matter how you look at it. But let's look at this example. Let's say Jack and Jill are married. Jack's PIA is $2,400. Jill's never worked, so she doesn't qualify for Social Security. She worked a little bit, so she has like $800. Jack has claimed his benefit. So she files for Social Security at 62. Her benefit is 70% of 800 or 560. She should wait. So her spousal add-on will be 1/2 of Jack's PIA. So his PIA is 2,400. So 50% of his would be 12, right? So there's going to be deductions, but if she waits until her full retirement, then her benefit will be her $800 plus $400 for what they call a Social Security add-on. All right? That's a big deal. So coordinate your benefits. Think about this. There are some rules you have to follow here. But knowing the rules, you can make them work to your advantage. First, if you file for Social Security before full retirement age, you're going to receive your own reduced benefit. And if your PIA is less than 50% of your husband's PIA, you may also receive a spousal benefit, but that's also going to be reduced. If your primary insurance amount is more than 50% of your husband's, then you aren't receiving a spousal benefit, okay? Let's be clear about that. So, okay. So if, like for instance, if her PIA is 2,000 and his is 2,400, then there's no spousal benefit, right? That spousal benefit is only for people who have benefits that are less than 1/2 of the husband's. Okay, is that clear? So how about divorce spouse benefits? Okay. If you were married over 10 years to the same husband and are currently unmarried, pay attention to this. If the divorce occurred more than 2 years ago, he does not need to have filed for his own benefit. So there's some interesting things here. So let's say Dick and Dora are divorced. They were married more than 10 years. Dora's 62 or older, and she's currently unmarried. His PIA is 2,400. He's over 62. Dora files for her divorced spouse benefits at her full retirement age and starts receiving 50% of Dick's PIA, or $1,200. Hard to believe, isn't it? But it's true. Dick's own benefit will not be affected, right? His current wife's spousal benefit will not be affected. And Dick's other ex-wives' divorced spouse benefits will not be affected. You're going, what? If he has 3 ex-wives, and if he was married to each one for 10 years, all 3 ex-wives may receive full divorced spouse benefits off Dick's record. And his current wife can receive her spousal benefit as well. The Social Security framers probably didn't think serial marriages would one day become fairly common when they developed these rules, but here we are, and we can take advantage of them. So it's important to remember that even if you meet all the requirements for a divorced spouse benefit, if your own benefit is more than half of your ex's benefit, you're not going to be getting a spousal benefit. So it's not possible to take a divorced spouse benefit and let your own benefit grow to age 70. Okay. That rule changed about a few years ago. However, if your ex dies, the survivor benefit will generally equal 100% of the amount he was receiving at his death. And if you meet all the requirements for a divorced spouse benefit, and if that amount exceeds your own benefit, you can switch to the higher amount. That's why it will be important to keep tabs on your ex in the years ahead, so you'll know if he dies. You can then contact Social Security and see if you'll be entitled to a divorced spouse survivor benefit that is higher than your own. All right. Okay, now let's talk about survivor benefits. You probably can't even imagine this now, but if you're married or if you're divorced, your husband or your ex-husband might die before you do. Odds are he will, since women on average live longer lives than men do. So you might at some point in your life become eligible for a survivor benefit. If that survivor benefit is higher than the benefit you are receiving at the time of his death, you can switch to the higher benefit. So even though it may be a long way off, you may need to understand how survivor benefits work, because certain decisions made now can affect the amount of that benefit. All right. So let's do this example. Jack is 2,400. Jack dies at age 70. If he'd claimed his benefit at 70, Jill's original survivor benefit would be based on his benefit at the time of his death, or 2976. So if he claimed his benefit at 62, Jill's original survivor benefit would be based on 82.5s of Jack's PIA. So basically, you're going to see that the longer you wait, there's several different ways that the longer you wait, it's going to be better for you financially. So you can see on the left, if Jill applies at age 60 or all the way up to age 67, there's a formula for how much she's going to receive. All right. And it's going to depend on if he waited. If he was a numbskull and he took his at 62, it's going to be reduced. So survivor benefits can be claimed as early as age 60. Hopefully you don't have to do that. Hopefully you can work. And the amount, because if you do that, it's going to be reduced. So young widows shouldn't automatically file for their survivor benefits as soon as they turn 60. They should just work and then file for it when they're going into retirement. To qualify for a survivor income, you have to have been married to the person who died. Living together doesn't count. If he died during the marriage, you only need to have been married for 9 months. If he died after you divorced, that marriage must have lasted at least 10 years. Okay? By the way, same-sex couples now get Social Security benefits as if they are or were legally married. Okay? That's a change to the law as well. So here's the same thing. So Jack is receiving $29.76, and she's receiving her spousal benefit of $1,200. Let's say she doesn't qualify for Social Security on her own work record. She can jump up to Jack's benefit of $29.76 after he dies. But her $1,200 benefit will stop. Please remember that. Whatever the smaller amount is, that is going to go away. And so that's something that we help clients with as well. So there's a lot of stuff in here. If your marriage lasted at least 10 years, this whole thing with divorced spouse benefits is the same as widows. You have to be currently unmarried, or remarriage took place after age 60. And so this is something that you can find out if you qualify for. So the most loving, what I say is the most loving thing you can do is the higher earning spouse delay their retirement benefit to age 70, because if the lower earning spouse is the woman and she's likely to live longer than him, then if he dies before filing at age 70, the survivor benefits will include delayed credits earned up until the date of his death. And you can claim your survivor benefit at full retirement age or later. Coordinate this with your other retirement assets that you have. All right. So more switching opportunities are available with survivor benefits than with spousal benefits. Isn't that interesting? So if you start your own benefit at 62 and switch to a survivor benefit at full retirement age, or you can start your survivor benefit at age 60 and switch to your retirement benefit at 70. There's ways to do this. Again, if this is like, woo, it's like too much, then just realize that this analysis that I'll complimentary give you the analysis. There is a small charge if we do a professional evaluation, but I think it's invaluable to be able to figure out what are the best ways that I can look at this. So here's an example, all right? If the survivor benefit is higher than the retirement benefit, you'll want to take the retirement benefit at 62 and switch to the survivor benefit at full retirement age. Sometimes you don't know, but it's possible. If her PIA is 1,000 and the survivor benefit is 2,200, she claims her own, and then she switches at full retirement age. So that is something that is possible. What about if the survivor benefit is lower than retirement benefit? Then you'll want to take the survivor benefit at 60. Make sure that when you're talking to Social Security, that you've got the lingo, that you've got the words correct. You want to take the survivor benefit at 60 or as soon as you become eligible for it, and switch to your retirement benefit at 70. In this case, Dora has a high PIA. Her survivor benefit is $1,800, which is less than her own benefit. So she claims her survivor benefit at 60 and receives the reduced amount of $1,287, right? Because it's way before her full retirement age. When she's 70, she switches to her maximum retirement benefit of $2,480. If you're still working, remember that too, and under full retirement age, all or part of your survivor benefits may be withheld for the earnings test. So my rule of thumb is don't take Social Security unless you absolutely have to before your full retirement age. So let's say you get remarried. That's what I did. Now, I got remarried before I was age 60. Keep these rules in mind. If you remarry at any age, you can't receive divorced spouse benefits. So if you're already receiving divorced spouse benefits and thinking about remarrying, understand that your divorced spouse benefit will stop. However, you may be able to get spousal benefits based on your new husband's record. If you remarry before age 60, you can't get survivor benefits or divorced spouse survivor benefits. If you remarry after 60, you can still get survivor benefits or divorced spouse survivor benefits. I know, I know these rules are hard to keep straight, so don't try to memorize them. If you have questions, you can always ask me, or you can call the Social Security Administration, and hopefully you'll get the same answer. Sometimes when you talk to different people, you get different answers. All right, here's a summary of survivor planning, spouse or ex-spouse still living. If you're married, encourage your spouse to delay his benefit to age 70. Okay, that's number one. As for your own benefit, consider your spouse's life expectancy. If your spouse has some health problems and may have a short life expectancy, you could go ahead and claim an early benefit on your own record because you'll be switching to your survivor benefit at some point. On the other hand, if your spouse is in good health and has a long life expectancy, you should maximize your own benefit by delaying it to age 70 because you'll be receiving it for many years before switching to a survivor benefit. That will maximize your income as a couple while you both are alive. All right, clear as mud? So compare your own benefit to survivor benefit. Take the higher benefit last. Don't remarry before age 60. So here's advice for women by marital status. If you're currently married, coordinate your benefits with your spouse. To optimize your benefits, one or both of you would delay the start of benefits to age 70 in order to earn the maximum 8% annual delayed credits. If you're entitled to a spousal benefits, you can file for it as soon as your husband files for his benefit, providing you're at least 62. Remember, your own benefit must be less than what? 50% of his in order for you to get that spousal benefit. You can't take a spousal benefit until he files. And he will want to wait until age 70 to maximize his benefit for himself while he is alive and for you after he dies. In this case, the delayed credits he would get later on are worth more than the spousal benefits you would get now. Okay, if you're divorced, consider maximizing your benefit by delaying it to age 70. Keep tabs on your ex and claim your divorced spouse survivor benefit when the time comes. Okay. If you're widowed, coordinate your retirement and survivor benefits. Take the higher benefit last. If you've never been married, you're on your own, right? With no help from spousal benefits. Consider maximizing your own benefit by working as long as possible and applying for Social Security at age 70. And regardless of your current marital status, if you have a former spouse who's deceased, consider that survivor benefit as a possible resource as long as you did not remarry before age 60. I know that this is a lot to remember. If nothing else, I hope I have opened your eyes to some of the possibilities with Social Security. You may be entitled to more benefits than you realized. So for help with your specific situation, I think this analysis that I offer is invaluable because you could live to be age 95. Social Security does provide inflation-adjusted income that you can't outlive. The decisions you make in your 60s are going to determine the amount of income you have in your 70s and your 80s and your 90s. You have got to remember this. It does make a difference. Delaying the start of benefits will give you higher income later on. I'm thinking about when you're 75 and when you're 85 and when you're 95, right? Coordinating spousal and survivor benefits will give you extra income while you delay your main benefit. We each have a record. Our Social Security number is tied to that amount. So a spousal benefit is actually a benefit that is tied to your husband's Social Security number. Your own benefit is tied to your Social Security number. All right? So make these decisions within the context of your overall retirement income plan. I, again, will tell you that I've written a book for divorcees and widows. And when you email me, I can give you the link to go out to Amazon. Love to have you have the book, because there's a lot of golden nuggets in there about this. And again, that analysis about when to take Social Security is complimentary from me. And there is a small charge for doing a professional analysis with you and valuation. But I think that this is a question that you decide one time, and you want to make it mean the most for you. So thank you so much for your attention and for being here with me today. And thank you so much for attending the Ask Good Questions podcast. And we will talk to you soon. Thank you.
Today's episode is over, but we did ask good questions again, didn't we? Don't miss out as we broadcast live every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on W4CY Radio at W4CY.com. Join Bonita Bell-Andersen next week for more conversations with experts on finances, retirement, behavioral finance issues, health and wellness, and more. Until then, remember to ask good questions.